This fight is like the end of the intro to the home improvement show from the 90s. You look at it and you go, huh? We have Danny Roberts, Hot Chocolate, taking on the Sluggernaut, Jonny Parsons. And Matt, for Danny Roberts, he's been in this position time and time again. He fought Mike Perry, fought Oliver Enkamp, he fought Michel Pereira, he fought Zalim Imadaev, he fought Jack Della Maddalena. Danny Roberts is the guy at welterweight that you bring in to lose to your prospect. And if he wins, then he wins. And that's kind of how it goes. He beat Zalim Imadaev with a complete game plan. He beat Oliver Enkamp, didn't get buggy choked. He's had good fights against decent fighters. And for Danny Roberts, he's won more than he's lost. So he's in the spot again, training this time as he used to at a Killcliff FC. Now, Danny's last time out, he fought Jack Della. He got outboxed. He was training back home in the UK. But this time, Killcliff, you get to train with Michael Chandler and the boys. So I opened this the way that I did with the home improvement reference because for Jonny Parsons, I thought, why hasn't he fought since 2021? So then I do my deep dive and I listen to the interviews and I found one that he did with James Lynch, Combat Sport UK. And James says, and this is going to be a weird read, but this is how he said it. James says, what's been keeping you out of the cage for so long? This is what Jonny Parsons said, and I transcribed. Man, really? Well, it's kind of tough to talk about, I mean, especially like, the biggest thing is I'm healthy now. You don't like that. So then Jonny goes on to say this. You didn't watch the interview, so I'm going to continue. He goes, I was having some really bad concussion symptoms where, I wasn't really able to train without getting headaches. He also said 6 weeks out from the Contender Series fight, I got knocked out cold. So that was in the window where you're not supposed to get knocked out and take a fight. Wow. But Jonny did, and he got a win by split decision over Solomon Renfro. His other quotes that he said, he's training out of Syndicate, lacking welterweight bodies. And then he said, I've dropped a lot of weight in this camp. He's lost like 30 pounds. So everything I heard from Jonny Parsons in that interview makes me not want to pick him in this fight. And then I go and I watch his tape after I listen to the interview. And I know I struggled there, but for Jonny Parsons watching his tape, I think he's a perfect guy to beat Danny Roberts. Unless the post-concussion symptoms and the weight cut really, really do affect him.
He's got a great right hand over the top, really nice power on it. Can throw variety with that shot too. It's not just an overhand or a straight. He can throw it in hook variety. Remember when Darren Till was on the come up and that was his big thing, right? They were like, he can throw the left hook as a straight, as an uppercut, as an overhand. It's something that now everybody can do.
Parsons with the uppercut.
But that's the nice thing about Parsons. He does have variety with that one side of his striking. And what I like about Parsons too is that right leg kick is a very effective weapon for him. And if he's able to use it against a guy like Danny Roberts, who himself is very boxing heavy with his own attack, it's going to limit Danny Roberts and the amount of power shots he can throw. But this is the only thing I'm going to say, and feel free to disagree with me. I look at this fight like when Jim Miller fought Roosevelt Roberts, and this is why. I don't know if Jonny Parsons is ready to beat Danny Roberts, even though he could beat Danny Roberts. And this is why I say it. If you beat Danny Roberts, then you're going to fight a really good fighter after that, right? Like, you're going to fight somebody who we all know, who's probably been in the UFC for a bit. I still think Danny Roberts isn't a bit of that category. I think if Parsons able to get that win, not that he's some spring chicken, right? He's 31 years old. He's not one of these uber prospects. But I've still always felt like if you beat Danny Roberts, you're at least going to get in line for them to start building you towards a ranking. And for Parsons, if he isn't able to start rounding out the rest of his skill set, if it is just a lot of that right leg kick heavy, good jabs, nice right hand, I'm a little bit concerned to see who else he can match up against.
Parsons looks like if you took a Muay Thai fighter and put them into MMA. 100%. That's what Jonny Parsons does because he has an amateur Muay Thai career and he was 6-1 amateur Muay Thai, 4-1 in MMA. He has 185 pound and 195 pound catchweight experience as a pro mixed martial artist. But for Parsons, getting that win over Renfro, who's a very good fighter. I know he lost to Mike Malott, Adam Fugett, and they were crazy knockout losses, but don't forget, Renfro was beating Mike Malott until he got finished. If you look at the fight against Jonny Parsons, Renfro nearly puts Parsons out in the first round, and Parsons just had a good chin, even though he admitted to getting knocked out not that long out. So crazy to see that. But Dana White after the fight said there were a couple of quotables. He goes, he was a 4-1 dog. And also, he's really 155 pounder. So for Parsons to say with James, I cut a lot of weight and cut like 30 pounds in camp to get ready for it. I don't love it. The really long layoff, the 6 months that he had to take where he just had no contact and he coached. That's a good thing for Parsons. He's a coach at Syndicate. He's a striking coach there. You see that out of him. You saw a coach out of a major gym with a long injury layoff come back and look all right. His last time out in Alexander Munoz last weekend. Parsons looking to do that. But again, when he's southpaw, that right hand's great. The left hand down the middle. The kicks that he throws to the legs and to the body are crazy.
Very good.
But Parsons, as you can see from the picture that I made up, he's not a big guy at welterweight. Like, he carries a little bit down the middle. So we'll see how it plays out for him in this one. He attacks all three levels big time. Danny Roberts, low volume, kind of low event fighter in the UFC. And that's why I have trouble with this. If Parsons didn't say that he had the concussion issues or the weigh-ins, I would pick Parsons. But with that kind of considered in this one, I have a hard time picking this fight. I really do. So when you look at it thrown together, we have a look at the topology vote. Surprise us there to you. I'm going to say over under 67.5% Parsons.
I'll say over.
I say over. It's the complete opposite. 735 total votes, 66% Roberts, 75% by decision for the 34% that are Parsons, 36% by decision, 54% by knockout. So who do you have in this fight?
Danny Roberts has every single tool he needs to win this fight. Okay, let me say that first and foremost. He has a good jab. We all know about how good his boxing is. The thing I worry about, though, is if he's hitting a lot of those leg kicks, and if he does find himself backing up in this matchup quite a bit, I agree with everything you said injury-wise with Parsons, but I still think his game is one that Danny Roberts is going to struggle with. I do like the fact that he goes to the leg and the body to start opening up some of those combinations to the head, and for those reasons, I do have Parsons. But again, if this is a fight where Parsons gets KO'd like 3 seconds into it and Danny Roberts looks all good, I wouldn't be surprised either, but I'm going to go back to the point I brought up. Jonny Parsons could very well beat Danny Roberts. I'm curious to see who they put him up against after this, just because Danny Roberts is one of those guys, and you're right, it's made me think about it a little bit more. It's one of those wins that does show something on your resume, but where do you go after that?
And we saw Roberts finish quickly against Jack Della. He got dropped, and it is what it is. But look at the fights that he had early in his UFC career where he came back and looked good. The Dominic Steele fight, the fight of the night that he had against David Zavada as well, really fun. He mixes up body and head with his kicks. His boxing is good, but it's a little bit low volume. So we'll see how it plays out in this matchup. And for Parsons, you want to see a guy check leg kicks? He's one of the better guys coming into the UFC that checks leg kicks. Go watch his fight with Icon against Chavez if you want to see that one, where they don't change the graphic and it says Pete Rodriguez. I got really weirded out on that one. Matt, I have the Sluggernaut, but I do not love it. So listen, this is a fight you got to watch all fight week and see how things go. You got to watch these two guys weigh in on Friday and see what they look like. And then stepping into the cage, you might like pick the other guy. It really is a tough one. I want to know who the folks have down below in this fight. Some big time ones on this card, including Davey Grant taking on Daniel Marcos up next at Bantamweight. You're not going to want to miss it. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks. We always say, let's get into it.